right, all you listeners of the madness, welcome back to Under the Radar. And now it's time for us to talk about what happened during the second half of WrestleMania 29 from the MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And to circle back the reason why we're only giving the recap of what happened to these people all the way up to Extreme Rules for certain people, because they were not featured at next year's WrestleMania. Several of them. So we had to leave their names out of the ballot box. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to mention, The Shield, they would fight against the New Age Outlaws and Kane that next following year at WrestleMania 30. So yeah, it was a quick match. You couldn't have missed it. But besides that, folks, the next match to take place on this grand stage of WrestleMania would see none other than Jack Swagger, the real American, alongside with Zeb Coulter, going one-on-one against Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, prior to this match taking place, folks, we would see Jack Swagger on an absolute tear after returning from wherever the world he's been, with Zeb Coulter in his corner trying to make things a Jack Swagger's America. And if you don't know what a Jack Swagger's America is, if you remember what JBL did by kicking illegals out to win a shot at the WWE Championship, almost the same thing but turned up to an 11. And using their free speech and their First Amendment rights would make their way out of the Elimination Chamber to fight against none other than Alberto Del Rio, who would win the championship from the Big Show after burying him under an announce table to win the title and to not to mention get attacked by Jack Swagger, and would even see Ricardo Rodriguez put in a brace of sorts after getting his ankle broken thanks to Jack Swagger. All a part of the plan for Jack Swagger's America. And prior to this match, folks, besides Zeb Coulter running down every form of creed that he could possibly run down, with the exception of the Russians and I do believe the Japanese, we would see Alberto Del Rio making his way to the ring, not only wearing a De La Hoya-like robe, but would also get some cool and special pyrotechnics the same lengths of what Chris Jericho got, and even Kane. And before we go any further, folks, what we forgot to mention, the stage set up for WrestleMania this year. We are so sorry. We usually mention this early in the pay-per-view results, but we might as well take a gander of this beautiful stage right now, because not only they would feature the Brooklyn Bridge for the stage itself, but also the Statue of Liberty hanging above the ring. It was a beautiful setup. Now, ask yourself, what happened almost 6 years later for WrestleMania 35 with them using a giant IMAX screen? I don't get it, but that's what they went with. No form of creativity whatsoever. But then again, Maestro said they use CGI effects or, VR effects for most of the arena, but I don't care for VR. I like physical effects. It shows some form of creativity for it. But besides ranting and raving about a stage, folks, during this match, action would go back and forth and would even see Jack Swagger not only trying to pick apart the ankle of Alberto Del Rio during this match, but would also see him pull out his gut-wrench powerbomb during this match for near fall, and would even see him try to do the Swagger bomb out of the corner for this match, only for Del Rio to counter into a cross-arm breaker, and only for Swagger to counter that back into an ankle lock again, making this a technical match like no other until, well, let's just say Zeb Coulter tried to attack Ricardo Rodriguez on the outside of the ring, giving enough of an opportunity for Swagger to try to beat the crap out of Del Rio, only for that not to work, because the second they would get back inside of the ring, Del Rio from out of nowhere would hit a nasty, and I do mean nasty, version of his cross-arm breaker quick as a cat to make Jack Swagger tap out and to cancel the plans of Jack Swagger's America on the grandest stage of them all via submission. And after the match was over, or should I say, the weeks leading after WrestleMania, what would happen Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger? Well, let's just say the night after WrestleMania in a 2-on-1 handicap match, despite the odds being in Jack Swagger's favor, Del Rio would end up winning the match, but after the match was over, Dolph Ziggler would cash in his Money in the Bank contract in one of the biggest moments of his career and nearly shout his lung out like the Beats, only for his dream to come to an absolute nightmare and end in less than 70 days due to the fact of Jack Swagger kicking him in the head accidentally while Jack Swagger saw Dolph Ziggler trying to pick up a ladder, only for Ziggler to suffer a concussion, unable to defend the championship at Extreme Rules, which would see none other than Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger going at it again for the #1 contendership in an Extreme Rules I Quit match, only for Alberto Del Rio to win the #1 contendership and take advantage of the head injury of Dolph Ziggler during that match, causing him to lose the championship and for Del Rio to once again become your World Heavyweight Champion and turn heel at the same moment too. And the next match to take place on this said card would see none other than the dead man himself, The Undertaker, going one-on-one against the best in the world, CM Punk, with Paul Heyman in his corner. And the story leading up to this was probably a story that made me extremely upset about the main event that's taking place for the night. And you want to know why, folks? Well, let's just say, after CM Punk, who reigns supreme over the WWE Universe as your WWE Champion for well over 434 days, would see his title reign come to an end thanks to the jabroni-beaten, pie-eating, trailblazing, eyebrow-raising People's Champ, The Rock, after he would get an automatic title match at the Royal Rumble. And because of the Shield somehow interfering and with Vince McMahon willing to strip him of the championship and the match being restarted, The Rock would walk away with the championship only for CM Punk to lose his rematch at the Elimination Chamber and would take it out on the fans by telling them, since you took away something that I love, I'm going to take away something that you love, after winning a Battle Royal to fight against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 29, only for him to completely disrespect The Undertaker after not only disrespecting the memorial tribute of one Paul Bearer, but also disrespecting the urn by dropping it on the ground, and even would see Paul Heyman, funny enough, dressed up as Paul Bearer, giving enough of an opportunity to CM Punk to hit him in the head with the urn and even dump the ashes, or alleged ashes, of one Paul Bearer over the head and body of one Undertaker. And would even see him even eat the ashes at one point, reminding me of something out of Phantasm. Yeesh. Now, before this match could begin, folks, it would have the two coolest entrances of the night. First, seeing CM Punk being led to the ring by the group that rocked the CBGBs in '97, none other than Living Colour with their song, Cult of Personality. And would even see the lead singer at one point jumping up on the stage so much that my grandmother would say, "Oh, he's really excited to be here, isn't he?" Well, of course, grandmother, it's WrestleMania. And those would be the exact words I would say to her. And then we would see The Undertaker in one of his coolest entrances of all time at WrestleMania, which would see him make his way to the ring with a whole bunch of hands outreaching, stretched out, trying to grab him, and me visualizing every single person trying to grab out at him, all of the lost souls at WrestleMania that tried to beat him years prior, reaching out for him to try to grab him, only to be out of arm's length. It's the best way to describe how cool that entrance was to me. And during this match, not only we would see CM Punk disrespect The Undertaker by not only doing old school during this said match, but also doing The Undertaker's signature eye-rolling technique during this match, even though he couldn't get his eyes behind his head, all to taunt the dead man, for the dead man to taunt him back by by not only doing a leg drop, but also would see Paul Heyman trying to avert danger for CM Punk by getting in the way of The Undertaker's airplane-like dive that he would do every year at WrestleMania, making this the first year he wouldn't do it, and not to mention for the next couple of years going out, he wouldn't do The Undertaker dive since. So yeah, we could thank Paul Heyman for that. But besides that, folks, when Undertaker took his eyes off the ball, he would receive a springboard clothesline by CM Punk that would lead to a near fall. Undertaker would counter with a choke slam that would lead to a near fall. And you would even see on the outside of the ring, The Undertaker trying to do the last ride to CM Punk through the announce table, only for that to fail, and for CM Punk to do his Macho Man Randy Savage elbow right to the heart of The Undertaker, oh yeah, but not breaking the announce table in the process. And Undertaker would almost get counted out in that same breath, only to see Undertaker taking the Anaconda Vice on the ground, only for the dead man to spring back up and then try to go for the Tombstone Pile Driver, only for CM Punk to nail the go to sleep, only for Taker to respond back with the Tombstone for a near fall. But this match would come to an end that again after CM Punk taking advantage of a tiger knee to the head of The Undertaker that would lead directly into the last ride by grabbing the urn of Paul Bearer and hitting Undertaker in the back of the head, only for Taker to kick out at 2, and for a whole bunch of will he, won't he hit their finish during this match for Undertaker to win the exchange, hit the Tombstone Pile Driver, and 3 seconds later, CM Punk becomes a victim to the streak, and Undertaker goes on to become 21-0 via pinfall. And after the match was over, Undertaker would get back the urn of one Paul Bearer, celebrate the fact that he won with pyrotechnics, and that would be the last time we would see an Undertaker celebration for the streak at WrestleMania. Because for the next couple of years, we would see The Undertaker trying to make his way back after losing to the Beast Incarnate at WrestleMania 30 that next following year. And as for CM Punk, well, he would come back at Payback to fight against Chris Jericho, get rid of his manager of Paul Heyman and turn face, only to lose against Brock Lesnar after fighting him at SummerSlam in a match called The Beast versus the Best. And after that, it would just go completely downhill from there for CM Punk, despite him winning against The Shield in a 301 handicap match at TLC, only for him to be entered in at number 1 at the Royal Rumble to get eliminated by Kane immediately, for CM Punk never to be seen in a wrestling ring form in WWE again. Which breaks my heart, because I would have loved to see him at WrestleMania 30, but those are the breaks. And with those summaries let out for those two superstars, folks, the next match to take place at WrestleMania, speaking of Brock Lesnar, would see none other than Triple H going one-on-one against Brock Lesnar, with Paul Heyman in the respective corner of Lesnar and Shawn Michaels getting his own pyrotechnics prior to this match in the corner of Triple H, in a no-holds-barred match where if Triple H lost, he would retire from the ring. Now, for those who don't know, at this point, Triple H was more or less the COO of the company, and him wrestling in the ring was a rarity. So the fact that his career was on the line during this match was absolutely ridiculous, but the lead-in for this match was not. Because after Paul Heyman would be accused of helping CM Punk retain the championship at all costs using the Shield and Brad Maddox, Vince McMahon was about to fire him. Until Brock Lesnar came out, F5 Vince McMahon out of his shoes after he would say, "Don't do something that you know we'll both regret." And then would see Triple H returning to try to beat the ever-living Daylight's flag tag out of him. And Triple H would say later on that he was waiting for a reason after Brock Lesnar broke his arm at SummerSlam this past year to get back in the ring. And after his family was crying over Vince McMahon, who had to get hip replacement surgery, he would find his reason to become the cerebral assassin, the King of Kings, and more or less something that he calls himself, the ass kicker at WrestleMania. And along the way toward this match, we would see not only a whole bunch of Triple H's friends being decimated in the form of the New Age Outlaws and even Shawn Michaels, but we would even see Paul Heyman taking cheap jabs to get Triple H to sign the contract for the match that he don't even know what the stipulations or conditions would be for this said contract or match. And Triple H would sign it and would figure out the night of what he would say for that match, which would be at least 2 to 3 weeks prior to WrestleMania. Good move on Paul Heyman, despite him getting the crap kicked out of him in the process for mentioning Stephanie's wife and saying that if the person who loses this match should be the one to get Stephanie. Not a smart move on your part, Paul Heyman. Not a smart move at all. Now, prior to this match taking place, folks, as the entrances would go on, not only we would see Brock Lesnar getting his typical pyrotechnics, but we would see Triple H with a giant oversized model of the helmet that he wore at WrestleMania 22, with him coming out of it and getting dry ice on his stomach and would suffer second-degree burns from that. Ouch! But then again, after seeing that episode of Archer with the dry ice with Lana, yeah, I could see the reason how dangerous dry ice could be. But despite the dry ice injuries of Triple H during this match, the second the action would go outside of the ring despite Triple H getting the better of Brock Lesnar, Brock Lesnar would come back with not only a suplex toss slam through the table, breaking the table that CM Punk and Undertaker couldn't, but then we would see Brock Lesnar go into full suplex mode, tossing around Triple H like if he was nothing, and even hitting him with an F5, nay, strike that, almost hitting him with an F5 thanks to his friend Shawn Michaels, who would come into the ring and take a bullet for his best friend. And then we would see Triple H get hit with an F5 for a near fall. And immediately after that, we would see Brock Lesnar go into full beast mode, literally and figuratively, not only tossing Triple H into the stairs, hitting him with the stairs, and even trying to do the Kimura lock in the corner to Triple H, only for Triple H to fight his way out, try to break the arm of Brock Lesnar during this match, and would even apply the Kimura lock himself, only for Brock Lesnar to spine buster Triple H on the stairs on 2 separate occasions, only for the 3rd time to get reversed into a DDT, and for the game to take out old Betsy, aka that sledgehammer, circa Peter Gabriel, to knock out none other than the Beast Incarnate, hit him with the pedigree on the stairs, and then just to say game over and my career is not going to end anytime this year, for Triple H to win this match via pinfall. Now, what would happen after WrestleMania with Triple H slaying the Beast? Well, there will be a rematch at Extreme Rules inside of a 16-foot high steel cage, where Triple H would hide a sledgehammer in the upper part of the cage itself that was camouflaged and was actually silver looking, which was cool in my book, but unfortunately would not be enough to defeat Brock Lesnar, where Brock Lesnar would toss around Triple H like it was nothing, and on one leg would still be able to accomplish the F5, beating Triple H at Extreme Rules, only for Brock Lesnar to go on to fight against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 and to kill my childhood with 1, not 2, but 3 F5s to the dead man, becoming the only man to defeat the undefeated streak of The Undertaker. And for Triple H, well, he would form the Authority, give Randy Orton the World Heavyweight Championship, and then would see him going to all lengths to stop Daniel Bryan from getting the World Heavyweight Championship, or should I say the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, that would be unified at tables, ladders, and chairs where a certain Viper would come out on top to unify the championships against a certain somebody who I'm not gonna mention until after we mention the main event of the evening, which is gonna happen right about nowish, which would see none other than John Cena going one-on-one against the People's Champion himself, The Rock, for the WWE Championship. And after 7 WrestleManias where we would see the classic spinner belt of one John Cena put on high display, unfortunately, as of WrestleMania 28, it would be the last time we would see it, because after The Rock would beat CM Punk for the WWE Championship, he would display a brand new, spanking new version of the WWE Championship, which would be the scratch logo version of the belt with new custom side plates that comes with, custom side plates on it. It's hard to describe, folks, but let's just say the side plates that would replace the nameplate on the bottom would be custom side plates that would have the logo of the superstar on it to display they won the championship, which to this day I still think is cool, and I want certain people to win that championship belt just to see what sort of side plate they would get. But then again, the Maestro told me on WWEshop.com they probably have all the side plates of the people who would win the belts there, but I would rather see them win the championship to see how cool they look while they wear it. But besides all of that, folks, the only reason this match is taking place is because John Cena this year would win the Royal Rumble for the second time in his career, making him the 4th person in this point in history to win the Royal Rumble more than once, but not beating out Stone Cold Steve Austin's record of 3 Royal Rumble wins, would see him immediately challenging The Rock for the WWE Championship to finish what he started last year at WrestleMania and get his redemption after his career would go in a tailspin after not only losing to Dolph Ziggler for the Money in the Bank briefcase at TLC, not only that, but getting embarrassed by John Laurinaitis at Over the Limit, and even at one point losing to CM Punk in the Summer of Punk, just losing every which way in his professional and in his personal life all around. And the only way to make it right is to beat The Rock. And during this match, Cena would have one hell of an uphill climb trying to beat The Rock, because despite him doing a crawl space to The Rock, Rock would counter with a roll-up pin for near fall, only to see The Rock doing a nasty version of the Rock Bottom, but only to see Cena kick out at it too. And immediately after that, folks, we would see this match turn into an all-out finisher fest, making me wonder about the decision of this match being the main event of WrestleMania, because then John Cena would hit an attitude adjustment, no dice, only for The Rock to hit the people's elbow on Cena for a near fall, only for Cena to go for an AA, only for The Rock to hit a rock bottom for a 2 count yet again, only for John Cena to hit a rock bottom from out of nowhere on The Rock, and then you would even see from out of nowhere The Rock trying to do the You Can't See Me 5-knuckle shuffle, only for Cena to try to hit him with an attitude adjustment, then would see another rock bottom, but ultimately this match would come to an end again after The Rock would try to go for yet another rock bottom, only for John Cena to figure out the button on the controller to counter the move, steal the move, and turn it into an attitude adjustment, for Cena to finally beat The Rock on the grandest stage of them all, via pinfall. And for those who are wondering what happened to the People's Champ after this match, not only he would suffer a nasty hernia and would not make an appearance back in the world of wrestling until WrestleMania 30, when he would come out alongside with Hulk Hogan, brother, and even Stone Cold Steve Austin to open up the event. But then you would see The Rock return yet again alongside with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 31, and even seeing The Rock host WrestleMania 32 and going up against Eric Rowan of the Wyatt family, beating him out in less than 6 seconds, which I do believe is a new record in the world of WrestleMania outside of title matches, And for John Cena, well, John Cena would go on to fight against Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship after he chose to fight against him, only for Triple H to screw him, bring birth to the Authority, and for John Cena to go on to WrestleMania 30 to fight against none other than the Eater of Worlds himself, Bray Wyatt, leading to a 6-year rivalry that he didn't know was going on, but was going on in the mind of Bray Wyatt at the time. And with an attendance record of well over 80,676 seats filled during this pay-per-view, folks, it would be the third largest event in history for WrestleMania, next to WrestleMania 3 and WrestleMania 32. And before we forget, folks, during this said pay-per-view, besides seeing a performance from Sean Diddy Combs, we would also see the class of 2013 for the Hall of Fame being inducted, which included and not limited to none other than the Hall of Fame legend himself of hardcore, Mick Foley. Not only him, but Booker T, Trish Stratus, Bruno Sammartino, and even none other than the current president of the United States, none other than Donald Trump, who got booed out at that said event that night, which was absolutely hilarious. And oh, before I forget, Bob Backlund was also inducted as well, which I've heard rumors that he went a little bit crazy during his Hall of Fame speech, but then again, that's Bob Backlund and the man has passion and we should respect it. And join us next year, ladies and gentlemen, where we finally backtrack to WrestleMania 24 to slowly but surely fill in the pieces of WrestleManias we've been missing, leading up to this WrestleMania we mentioned for tonight. And with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into the music as we grab a glass of water after reading all these results. And when we return, we'll be back with more of this 6-year homecoming celebration of Under the Radar right after this. So don't touch that dial just yet, folks, and stay tuned.